I really want you to today just get really clear right from the start now. Why is it important to you here? I really value my time. I very much value your time. And I really want you to think about less about just filling a notepad and real clear actions from this. So I go quite pacey. There will be loads of information. So there's a lot probably at you, but I really want you to be able to just take the core actions of things that you really need to focus on and do that will help really move you forward close to where you want to be. It's not about giving us loads of actions and feeling overwhelmed and not knowing where to start. That's where I can help you. But I really want you to think around the key important things here. So tonight is all around how to stop blending in online and get strangers to buy your stuff. Because right now it feels incredibly noisy, and it's how we're able to cut through in the right way to get the right attention, because attention is currency. So I'm not going to be that salesy person. It's not tends to be how I roll. This is a mastermind only offer for this masterclass. So if you're interested in knowing more about what I do and you want to find out a little bit about whether it's fit for you, all you got to do is message me the word offer. There's no hard pitch here. I'm just going to share about how this could be relevant to you and what I do. And part of that I'll share. So this training is a no for you if you really get overwhelmed quite quickly and you're very emotional about things like data and business. You can't post on social media because I believe you need to be able to be visible on social media. And if you think great messaging alone will save your business, it's one of the components that will. It is for you if you understand entrepreneurship is a long game. It's incredible, but we need to test lots of different things to see what works and what doesn't. So it requires patience, which a lot of people don't want to hear, but that's the realities. And I'd rather be transparent and honest with you than feed you a dream or a lie like some people do. It's for you if you want to simplify and get more clients. That's what we're about in business. And if you want to really make a bigger impact on people beyond the money and buy back time and have the freedom in your life that you want. So what is success on your terms? So you're in the right place. So why listen to me? Well, first of all, I'm going to talk about the numbers. I think knowing your numbers in business is incredibly important, and growth, a real growth. And what I've been able to see this last year is the only measure of success I can have is me on me. So I will look at where I am performance wise month on month. So how I did in August compared to last August, how I did in September compared to last September. So this is just a snapshot of building trust with myself in that my current year-on-year performance is 48% up on revenue, not profit, revenue. Just be really clear because people get a bit sticky about the two. I'm not fussed sometimes which one's which for this. I just want you to be really clear on what it means to you. But hopefully that should bring trust that what I'm sharing with you is working, because again, we're seeing so much and it's like, well, what works, what doesn't work, where to start. So it's strategies that I'm using that I will be sharing with you to implement and take away from this evening. So also why you should trust me, I'll go really quickly through this. This is the pacey stuff so we can get on to what this means for you. 19 years in corporate. So I was able to learn how to lead people, deliver ridiculous budgets, £1 million, lead very different types of operations. And I qualified as a coach within that time frame because I didn't know really what I wanted to do the rest of my life when I hit 30. So I went in to become a qualified coach and won CPD Coach of the Year in 2019, which was a great achievement. I struggle like you on many things. I think it's really important that we show up as being truly authentic, and that's sometimes sharing the hard things, the struggles, so people can really resonate and it's relatable. So my journey wasn't always linear. I was pretty much in the first, I'd say, 10 years of corporate. I failed a sign off with directors, and that one of the catalyst moments to say what I want to do with my life. I went straight into depression and I was signed off. And I just felt I lost a huge part of my identity in business and life and what I stood for. I really struggled in relationships. I was obsessed with the gym, which contributed to an eating disorder. I didn't feel I had any business knowledge when I went into my own business. I felt that I knew corporate, but I had no idea how to make money for myself. So I knew I needed that support. I felt I mixed in with the crowd, and was the best kept secret that I had loads that I could share and help people with and make a bigger impact, but I didn't know how. And I struggle with not being disliked. It's something I have to really work on. And my mindset is that I won't be for everybody. Yet I try and I want to do the best. So you see here an example of stuff I've shared recently that gets good engagement, because struggles will be a genuinely real person with people because it's highly relatable. I'm passionate about success on your terms. So I'm not interested that it's all about money in business, because it's not. It's a great part, and we absolutely have to have cash flow in business. But I really am about, how do you create success on your terms? What are you doing it for? So I want flexibility. I want to be able to pick my niece up like I did yesterday and pick my niece up tomorrow without feeling guilty because I've got clients to serve or things to do in the business and got no flex. So that's been a big part in shaping like what is this business looking like for me. I've invested a considerable amount, it's probably well over that by now, to grow my business, like I've said, to hit some of these figures of 41% at points this year, which has been great on some months. But you've got to do an investment, whether that's time, whether it's money. You've got to invest in some way, and there's multiple ways of doing that, but we have to make that investment. If we invest money, we tend to get there quicker, for sure. And we hear cliches, and they're cliches for a reason. That I've seen that to be true. So it's about looking at, where do we invest the right time into things and the money. And I've worked with over 200 clients in the last 3 years, which has been phenomenal. Really helped them grow in so many different ways. I offer a mastermind, and I work with people one-to-one, and I'm you. So I do the work. I love what I do. I invest time, I invest money. I am really clear on where I'm going and taking people with me. That's a huge thing in always what I did in corporate. And I'm huge on that ethos in small business too, is how do we take people with us and help them achieve their potential? And that's been clients like Shalini, who has been able to have a great income as her, some people don't like side hustle or passion project, whatever you want to call it. She's working full time, and she's been able to recruit a PA who was able to help her. And as you can see here, like, the results speak for themselves. So she's an example of a client I've worked with. Same as Lindsay, we worked with getting her messaging on point because she didn't know what she stood for or how she was going to communicate that with her audience. And Sam, we've evolved from being known in accountancy to financial strategist, evolving her offer right now, which is called Dream Life. I'm sure it is. So that's all around helping position her, yes, with the accountancy background, but also into something very different and something that the market needs. So over to you. The biggest problem most entrepreneurs and small online business owners find is that their messaging is getting lost in the noise, and it just doesn't feel like it converts. The truth is, sales, which is separate to messaging, is taking longer. We all know that, and we have to wake up and be honest with ourselves about that. There needs more touch points, and we need more touch points with people, because very much like we'll be behaving, trust has been broken. You hear lots of people say things around have been burned, have invested in course after course, and have not got the results. And the reality is, I'm going to share with you stuff tonight that I've invested and given, well, I've invested thousands on, and I've given years and years to get to this point. And I'm sharing like what's really helped me in a simplified and quicker way to get there. What you need the help on is the action and the implementation. That's where people struggle, and accountability. And that's one of the things I'm known for. And that's really, really important. It's we're known for something. So the outcome of this for you today is that you're going to have strategies to cut through the noise, clarify your messaging, and attract dream clients who do want to buy. So it's truths, it's theory, and it's practical. Because if you don't do the work and do the practical side, you're not able to test and see what messaging works or doesn't work. And if people aren't buying, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing it wrong. It just means we're not quite compelling yet, and we can fix that. So there's some areas that I said I was going to cover when I put this out to people to join. And it's why your current messaging is keeping you invisible online. This is the first part. It's 4 components I'm going to share through. And what to say instead to clients, so they actually pay attention. Because as I've said a moment ago, attention is currency. It's really, really important that if you think how we sit there with our phones, particularly at night, maybe we scroll away, and then we'll stop something, we'll stop the scroll. We want to stop the scroll. We want to get people's attention. And we want to stand out in a crowd, and we want to be able to position ourselves as the person that they want to fix their problem. So lots of the content that I see right now is generic. It's things like, for example, like free fat loss tips. I work with somebody in the fitness space. And, track your steps. Now, like, we kind of all know how to track our steps, right? You either get like a fancy smart ring like I have, or you get your Apple Watch, you track your steps. Do we really need to know that now? The same as free fat loss tips. Well, don't eat as much, work out. We need to be really sharing with people absolute value. So if your post could come from anyone, you're going to tend to blend in. You're not going to stand out. And I think that sometimes when I say stand out, because I did a lot of testing with this messaging a couple of months ago, people don't always like that. They don't necessarily feel they want to stand out, ironically, but we have to. We have to be different, is what the key is, I think, is knowing that difference matters and difference is okay. And it's about sharing what you want to share within that. Doesn't mean you have to share everything. I've shared certain things about my journey with corporate and leaving and starting a business, but I haven't touched the surface on some of the other stuff, and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm not authentic, but I've looked on my journey what's relevant to myself and to my audience to build a relationship, and that's the key. So as you'll see, I'm going to share things that are what you would see if you go on my socials. It's proof, and I think proof's really important. So when we talk about cutting through the noise and we talk about being different, you want to share different ideas of content to see what works and doesn't work. I will share things like just walking along, talking to the camera. I will share things that are inspiring. So it'd be that connection side of things, that it's relatable content. I will share value. So when you see ones like you've got here with the small business there, that post there is all around giving value, real things to do beyond like tips. Like I was talking around, if you're at 2 to 3 grand as a business and you're struggling, like here's the things I would do right now to move you forward. And, you know, if you're doing this, try this. Here's how I would start a business in 2025. So you want to be sharing different things because you want to test different things at work. I get a lot of views on carousels, more so than sometimes reels. So I do more carousels, right? It's a no-brainer. So we've got to lean in to understand, how is our audience consuming content right now? So are they on Instagram? Are they on Facebook? Are they on LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube? Really understanding that. I have a podcast channel because most of the people that will come onto sales calls with me, when I ask why me, why now, they'll often allude to the fact that, well, I've listened to loads of your podcasts and I just wanted to speak to you a bit more. So I know in part the sales process, it works to build that relationship. It's why I do masterclasses every month. I've done one pretty much every single month since I started in April 2022. Because for me, regardless if 1,000 people turn up or 2 people turn up, I'm able to reuse this content again. It will go on my YouTube. And I'm also able to get a voice across to people. I can share this. So people ask and talk around, you know, my content's not converting. I'll say, well, did you catch this masterclass? Oh, okay, well, here's a replay for it. And I can, again, pick up conversations and I can follow up with people who join this. So getting out and having a voice on things and doing things consistently that you know work are beneficial. Share your stories and opinions and quirks. So when we talk about content and messaging through it, we want to be sharing things that connect us, that are valuable, and social proof. And content is how you show up daily to reinforce your messaging and move prospects along the buyer journey. So the key ones, what we're doing is, and the 3 ways to grow a business always are, how do we attract people, which is awareness? How do we make them aware of what we do and that we're the person that can solve the problem they've got? Hence, I'm huge on niching in a market. How do we get them through to nurture? So how can we get them to consider that we're the person that can do that for them against all the other competitors that we have out there? And how can we get them to a point of sales to make a decision, to activate them to take an action? That's always what I did in leadership, was I had to get people to do things most of the time what they wanted to do, but some of the time they didn't. And my job was to make sure things happened to move the business forward. So same with this, we have to navigate and take people through the buyer's journey from attracting them, converting to delivering. And the decision part is a delivering, is getting them to take that action. So we want to be able to, through content, show things around clients that have got results, and get them to see what will happen when they work with us, what they can achieve. So what the rule is here is that we don't want common sense content going out. We want things that are going to show your personality, to have a different perspective on something, to stand for something. And I'll share shortly a post that I use to get attention and stand for something and beliefs, and proof. And here's the proof to you. These are some of the results of some of the content the views and content I've got the last, what's this, probably last 2 weeks, and the top ones, and why. So it's things like me at the gym. Part of my messaging is talking about stuff I love, about that, what I'm really interested in. I do a weekly debrief every single week. So there's a couple of those that have hit on there. And I talk about what's happened in a week, because I realized at some point I was doing the same pattern of behavior like I did in corporate, where I pretty much was working all the time and didn't do a lot. And I was like, I want to do some things. I want to be known for more than just work. So I started making sure that I would kind of document my week. And then you've got, like you see here, you've got the odd ones going through with the carousels where it's value ones, how to overcome sales objections. I've got a message you need to hear to start your week, the 5 highlights in your bio. So I know here that actually the top ones, I'm getting a real mix of connection, value, and social proof coming through as content that's working. So here's a really cool hack, which I want to share with you. If you go on, this is my amazing client, Sam. So if you went on to want to look at, well, what content are people engaging in, then you can go and see. So I recently went through all of my clients and I looked at what content they've liked from me right from the start. So how you do this is you go into find somebody. So you could go on my profile, or you could go on somebody else's, or one of your clients would be probably a great example here. And you want to press those little 3 dots right in the corner, where it's kind of says Harmony Accounting there and the 3 dots. Then you want to see shared activity. So click that. And you want to then go into likes. So when you press likes in the middle and you go across on the right to like by them, you're able to see the content that that person has engaged in. What have they really liked? Because this is an important factor. We want to look at what content is working. I know through going through most of the content, my clients, the best posts at work are social proof. When I share, other clients getting a result. If it's not that, it's that connection one. So it's posts where they're going to feel relatable to me in my journey because I'm like them. And we like people like us because it feels safe. And our natural, if you think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, safety is so important. We want to feel that. We want to feel seen. We want to feel heard and generally understood by people. So you have to learn to create that with your audience, that level of connection with them. So this is just a little cool hack that I think is good to have a look through. I wouldn't want you to get obsessed with it. So don't kind of look at it all the time or get a new client, think I've got to go through it all. But I think it's really useful to look at, again, the data and ask yourselves, like, what does this mean to me? What is it telling me? Because it's really, really important to look at, so that we focus on doing more of the things that work and less of the things that don't. Just whilst we're here as well, everything that I share with you is built on in the messaging and sales blueprint. So by being on the masterclass here, you can get 20% off. All you need to do is scan that. If you choose to want to explore coming into my mastermind, you get all of that in there anyway and beyond. But this is the blueprint for messaging to really expand on. So you just need to scan there and you can get 20% off that with that code message. How to package your offer clearly and simply so strangers get it and want to buy. So really go back to your why. I think this is one of the things I say the most to people when they're overwhelmed, they're struggling, they're positioning objections, they feel that it's not working and they don't know what to do next. Go back to your why. So don't just state what your program is. We need to go back again, be really clear with people around when we're putting content out, how we can weave our why through it. Don't just say, like, you can get all the program, you get, I don't know, the training platform, you get 10 calls with me, you get the community. That's the stuff that is surface level. That's not what people buy. People buy the result and the transformation. And you need to be really clear in connecting with that. Like, what is that part? Why does that offer exist for somebody? What's the change in their life? Because you're going to want to, when you work through sales with people, is get them to think ahead and be able to imagine themselves in that place and believe that to be true. Because essentially all your program does is just like close the gap for them. It helps them get A to B sooner rather than later. So you've got to be able to position why it's different. Somebody asked me earlier in a week, why would I choose to work with you over somebody else? And I said, well, one, I'm not here for comparison. That's for you to work out who's the right fit for you. But what I do know about what I do is that I'm driven, I'm focused on my clients and getting them the results they want. I can show you all of that. You've seen the results because I've shared the results with you. And I'll explain how you can do that with your content. I'm known for accountability. I'm known for no BS at points, but I'll hopefully always put my arm around you because I want you to do really well. I want you to push yourself. If you want to come in and just be comfortable, it's probably not going to be the right experience for you. And I'm transparent and honest. I work by my values. So I talk about my values, so much so that I talk about one of my values is giving more than you take. And guess what? You attract what you are. I'm a huge believer in that. And I've attracted amazing clients. And one of my amazing clients, Amanda, turned around to me last week and said, I would like to give back to your masterminders and come and do a headshot for them at our VIP day next week. And when we meet every quarter. And I was like, how amazing is that? Because you lead by example. And this is so important to think about, how do we do this? So I really want you to think about with your content, how are you getting across your story and what you do and why you're different? And this is the way you do it. There's 4 key core messages that I believe we must be sharing in business. One is we absolutely have to have the clarity on what we do and who we help. It is not enough right now to be saying, oh, I just help women or people. We need to be able to say, that's me. That's what we want. We need to be able to see what someone's offering and say, okay, that would really help my problem right now. For example, I wanted to go into ads at the beginning of this year. I knew I needed help on that. So I went to people and I asked and said, who would you refer? Because I trust your opinion on things as well. And who have you worked with? I then had a couple of people. I had a look at their offers. I also knew who I'd had a relationship with. Because I know at the top of the funnel, I'm like, I know what my problem is. I'm looking for the right people on considering mode. And then I was like, well, actually, I've got a great relationship with them. And, oh, they did this and really helped me last time. So, okay, there's the offer. I'm in. It wasn't a long process for me to work out who's going to help me or not. It was a no-brainer for me because that person was really clear. They did Facebook ads, right? That's it. They didn't say they did all Google ads and everything else. It was Facebook ads. And that's what I needed help on, growth there. So be really clear what you do and who you help. Be concise and outcome driven. So mine was around Facebook ads for growth to build your audience and to get more clients in top of the funnel and attraction. Well, that's what I needed. Your story and why it matters. The best way I can share to do this is to take an age in your life and write down, it's a really cathartic process, but write down the journey, all the highs and the lows from that age, that point. So mine was very much kind of coming out of university into corporate, all the way through to then like the journey I went on there and then leaving, starting a business. I did this as part of the process when I worked with a speaker coach. And then I spoke on stage for the first time when having my small business. Again, I'd already spoken multiple times in corporate. It was a different space, and how I was positioning myself, and actually it was more personal, was very different. So I wanted to draw out the things and share certain things with them, but, you know, also not kind of give everything away and feel insanely vulnerable about things. So I wanted to share things that really connected with my ideal client. So this is why we have to be really clear the step before on who do we help, because we have to share the content that relates. What makes you different? One of the things I talk around a lot is I have a real belief that to run a successful business, you have to put your own oxygen mask on before. You have to look after yourself. It starts with you. I'm very passionate about health. I will never compromise my health for my business. I've lived that in experience before. Why would I choose to do it again when it didn't work for me? So like your unique edge on things, what you value, what you care about. I care about family and time with them. I care about people. I'm not a person that will ever put client or like money over clients. It's just not something I want to do. I don't want to be known for that. So really talk about the things you care about that make you different. It's so important. But I also care and say to people, like, I love making money. So I get sometimes some businesses are more unique and different in ways of they may be a bit more spiritual or they may be a bit more cheerleader. And that's not generally how I create those environments for clients. Like it's about like being driven, getting things done, having fun, being known for something, but we get results, we make money, because if we don't make money in business, we're not going to have a business. So I think it's important you do stand for things, and you're going to attract and repel people. And that's really important. You are not for everybody. So think about, again, the types of platforms where you want to be on, with how you draw people in as well. Like, where is your ideal client consuming right now? My ideal client is mostly on Facebook or Instagram, a little bit on LinkedIn, but mainly those two platforms. I recently stopped TikTok because they're just not on it. So why would I stay on it? And how you work, I've kind of blended the two. Sometimes they cross over a bit of values and how you work. I'm known for being direct. I'm known for getting things done. I had somebody say the other week, "You're intimidating, and I'd be scared to work with you." Okay, now why don't we just unpack that and explore that a little bit together? Because actually, probably that's what you need. And right now, my challenge could be that you're very comfortable, and comfortable isn't going to be great for you. So let's just have that conversation. So I think there's always a way about how we do something is so important. But I don't want to change either. And it wouldn't be right for people to expect me to change. It's not right for you to change. So position yourself with how you are. There's a lady called Selena Sue, who I saw in Canada the other day, actually, and she's known for being an introvert. So guess what happened when I saw her? She's an introvert. So that's okay. I'm not huge on these labels, extrovert, introvert anyway, but be you. It's really, really important because you're going to change and you're going to grow and evolve anyway. So don't get too hooked up on stuff. Just really lean into who you are. And it will literally, you do attract the right people with who you are. So important. So use your calendar and client conversations to shape the way you explain it. So make it relatable and make it real to the world. The formula for crafting a core message that makes you stand out as the go-to choice in the market. So again, how we're standing out. I like to think most people have heard about the hero's journey, but I don't think everybody has. This is really powerful in how we share stories. Stories connect us. I know there's some people that have their whole business built on story brand. I think it's Donald Miller's one who's got the story brand book from many years ago that I read the first time. And he kind of echoes this, but it's really important that you explore it for you with understanding what it means, because the people that are doing very well in business, whether they are people that you follow on YouTube, so like I'm a huge fan of Stephen Bartlett, Alex Hormozy, they're using storytelling all the time. And I think that we're not aware of it, but it gives you a structure that follows a hero who leaves the ordinary world, faces real trials, goes through the challenges, and returns home, but as a new person in a certain way. So what we want to be able to do when we're doing a hero's journey, to break it down quite simply, because this gets super in depth as well, is share the before, where somebody was at, the struggle, the action they took, and therefore that led to a breakthrough and a lesson. So I'm going to share a snapshot of it tonight just to get it across, because I want you to think about, do you storytell? How well do you storytell? And getting you to start doing it, because it's really, really important. So the goal with storytelling is to turn common lessons into short stories, so things that we know, again, because it's so much more relatable. So people don't buy because you're smart, they buy because they see themselves in the story. So you may have worked with people before who, you know, there's something there that is similar in your journey, or they're just a few feet ahead of you. I attract a lot of people who have had corporate background. I attract a lot of people who have been who are coaches, because I worked for I was a mentor at the coaching academy, which loads of coaches love the coaching. They don't like growing a business, and they saw me doing a business and said, "Well, how do you do it?" So I was like, "Well, I can create a business out of this and make money." So they buy because they see themselves in it. Again, I say it because repetition is the mother of learning. They feel seen, understood, and like you've walked the path they're on. So it helps to bring more confidence, so you know what you're talking about. They build trust fast, really fast, and they're emotional, not logical. And this is probably the most important part out of this whole hour, if you're going to take anything right now, is sales is 80% plus emotional. So we don't, like, in our minds and our brains, when we make decisions around business, most of the time it's emotional, but often that's not the best time to make those decisions. We need to be logical. So the brain is wired for narrative around facts tell, stories sell. So really start to think around, this is where I said, like, start mapping out your journey of the highs and lows, because you can draw out and you can create stories from those. So I'm not going to go through, because I haven't got time tonight, every single step of what you need to do to create stories, but I am going to give you an example of why this works. I think everything is really important to share the why we do what we do. and the rationale for things. So why this story works here. So I shared one example. You can go to Scan Me and it takes you straight to it on my Instagram here. So you can see all of the copy. It was a two graphic slide carousel. So you kind of saw two slides on Instagram. And this was when I said I paid $3,000 for 6 minutes of Marie Forleo, and people thought I was insane. ROI isn't what you believe. So what you see here is the character. That was me as a business owner who made an unconventional decision that others questioned. Like, why would you ever invest that? It's crazy. The unmet desire was that I needed clarity, I needed confidence and a sense of direction in business. And she'd been somebody I've followed for years that I absolutely adored, and came to London, and I just saw this as an opportunity that I had to do. The guide was, so the obstacle was that I was second guessing myself and I was lacking a clear messaging path. I didn't know what I stood for. I was mixing with the crowd. I didn't know what to do next. And I needed somebody that I could trust that was where I wanted to be. And Marie Forleo became the guide in my story and the stepping into that guide role for others. And that was me doing that. Then the plan was to like invest in high level, like start to trust your intuition, join a challenge and get focused on where I wanted to be. And then it's around the executions, taking those bold moves like I did to be at that round table. I think there was 6 of us. Like it was just a few minutes that we got each to speak with Marie about a challenge that we had and what we needed to do and her advice, what she shared. But showing others how as well. So I then take people on a journey. The result is you get in a trust. It helped with my messaging clarity. I was really confident in what I needed to do next. And, you know, business breakthroughs are just not revenue. So I'm able to take a scenario and share my journey of where I was at. But there are other people in me sharing that would be like, well, that's where I'm at. That's me. And it would be, again, it'd be relatable. It'd be resonance. And this is really important. So the action for you here is, and if you're saying this because you've been in my world and you've seen this before, again, repetition is the mother of learning. I'll keep saying that because it's true. But this is a template. You want the part of the before, the struggle, the action, the breakthrough lesson. So you may take this as an action template. If I were you right now, I would go and look at a story, a part of my life that I wanted to share with my audience. And I would take that as a template and I'd shove that into ChatGPT and work with it because who doesn't love ChatGPT and a bit of AI right now? And then I would say, this is my story, and it might be bullet points of what I want to share. Take this and put it through that template and make it a compelling story that gets attention, and ask for a strong emotional hook. So AI works with us. We need to, like, we're the ones in control of AI. It's not working for us. And I think some of us at times, I'm definitely aware of it, we can get lazy with AI and we can lose creativity. And I think that's a huge risk to business. But it's an incredible tool to use, and it's going to future-proof businesses as well, in, you know, which is a whole nother conversation with you guys. But I really want you to think around taking this, don't overthink it, and just get a few things that you want to get through and build on it. Again, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. I can get through stories quite quickly now because I'll just use a template structure like this. So they work really well. As I said, that kind of facts tell, stories sell. So then we move on to proof and validation here, social validation. I absolutely love sharing these. I think it's a no-brainer. I tell you another no-brainer, which I haven't shared on here, is if you have ever worked with somebody or you're in a program right now, or you've got a friend that's helped you in something, go and do a testimonial for them. Like, because people connect, people are following people all the time and connecting through things. My friend was telling me the other day she's booked a retreat because she saw someone had made a comment on a post, and she was like, oh, I didn't know any, like, she then started looking at the content and saw this person doing a retreat, was like, oh my god, it looks amazing, I never knew this person. So you never know the opportunities just by, again, doing this reach out and sharing things and connecting. So we want things like testimonials, we want to share case studies. Client stories build trust. I think the cheapest way to market yourself is through your clients. You know, like at the moment when you do things like ads, we're noticing platforms like Instagram, Facebook with their verification, these platforms are becoming pay to play. You have to pay for ChatGPT now if you want the next point on it, and not the free version. So we're noticing a shift. We've had years of being able to grow incredible businesses after the pandemic, and now suddenly things are starting to change again. So we have to be ahead. We have to be thinking around, how can we get out again, proof and build that, and like strong marketing. So show real results of specific transformations. And this also brings in storytelling, because as you've seen this one with Amanda here, I talk about where she was. I talk about her struggle. I talk about what she did to overcome that, how I was the guide. I talk about where she is now and what life looks like and what that could mean to you if you're reading this and you are wanting to be in Amanda's shoes or work with me. Like, what could life look like for you? I try to get them to start to think around that, like imagine. So it's really powerful. And again, it brings in that idea of vision for people. So lead them and direct them and take them on that journey. So I wasn't just sharing here, this is a 12-week program you can do with me, or my mastermind's a 6-month container experience designed for, entrepreneurs, or if you have, let's say, this is my 6-week fat loss, how to lose 5 kilos. It's not about that. People aren't buying that. They're buying a result that brings them, that they'll be happier in themselves, that they'll have more confidence, that they'll have more money so they can get more time back to then spend more time with their family. A big one for me was I didn't want to work the whole of Christmas, the way I'd always worked in corporate for 18 years and had about a few days off. I wanted to have more time off then to be with my family and not be knackered. That's the hook that would have got me more than you can just earn more money. So think around the depths of the emotion of things, because it's really important. Show, don't tell. So here's an example as well. I will share my examples of stuff. So there's one of me many years ago when I was working in corporate, but knew I wanted to leave, didn't know what that looked like. And I was also knowing, as I shared at the start, I was struggling with relationships. And there's me now engaged and getting married next year. Corporate, smile on my face, but actually probably really unhappy in that time. And there's me then presenting, speaking to a whole room full of entrepreneurs, absolutely loving the energy, being able to connect with people that really want to make a big impact in the world and a huge difference. And then there's when me like working on my health, which is something I've shared, I talk about a lot, is fitness, and the struggles I had with not liking myself, not being very confident. And then the journey I went on with that and the process and the steps I took. And if it's achievable for me, it's achievable for you. And I see that. I follow and have mentors who are where I want to be. They're also evidence and proof that people are doing, like, it's possible, that why can't I do it? So seeing someone speak on stage, seeing someone write a book, it's all evidence that we can have that too. They're out there doing it. And then you start to just stack. When you get more of these, you start to stack the results. They speak for themselves. So when I'm in a conversation with somebody and they're asking about kind of why me, or how can I really help them, I'll say, well, these are the results I've got, right? These are the lives I've changed. And this is a deeper level of connection with people. So you can then also start to use their language. I shared with somebody, I think today and then recently as well, around the best way. I did it on a reel actually as well for content, because I was like, it's really valuable. The best way to get content that connects with your audience is to listen to what they say, use their language. So one way of doing this is to record your sales calls. You should be recording your sales calls anyway to see where you can improve, but you should also do them to take out the language of what they say when it talks about their challenges and their struggles. I remember doing this back in last year, particularly remember it because I used it as an example actually. I ran a challenge and I said, we're talking about messaging, and one of my clients said, my messaging's messy. She wasn't a client at the time. So I said to her, I said, watch this. I was like, I'm going to go and create content on it. You've just said my messaging is messy. I said, because it will make other people who are my audience, who are like you, say, oh, that's me, or oh, my messaging's messy too. So we can start to use what they say. It's really important. So you can use that for hooks. But your clients will do your marketing for you. I just think it's a great way to position yourself differently. Another one is to say, have a strong opinion on something. So it's always something that people don't always agree with when I say it, but sometimes I think you have to piss people off. That's the conversation I had with Stephen Bartlett when I asked him once. I was like, I'm struggling to really connect or get my messaging off the ground when I was doing this 2 years ago. And he said, you've really got to piss people off. And I'm not saying I completely agree with that. I'm not here to annoy, frustrate people or turn people away for like to deliberately do it. And I think people can create that drama in their content for sure. I'm not fussed on that. What I am fussed about is sharing things that I really believe to be true, and my opinions and my views on things. And it cuts through the noise. And some people like it and some people don't. And it's then you have to learn and go through the mindset work of that's okay as well, right? If you're doing things with good intent, and you've got strong values in life, I don't often think you can go much astray from that as long as the sentiment's right and intention. So share your strong opinions on things. People are always going to judge you. They're going to say something. And often it comes from their insecurities that they're just juxtaposing onto you. So let that go and let them do that. Focus on you. If you're a fan of Mel Robbins, I've been doing a lot of work on that. Let them, let me. So share strong opinions. This is one I did. And it's quite interesting in the way of the engagement it got. I put that picture, which is just me on a photo shoot, one of my fitness ones. I definitely have more exposed ones. And they put, it's really shame that you have to share this to get attention or something like that. And it really annoyed me, which is my fault. That's on me, not her. So I blocked her. And I was like, you don't have to accept this, you can block. A bit of drama there. But look, irrelevant. I then went on to share that on LinkedIn, and I put the hook around it. It's a shame you have to post this to be seen. And I said, here's 10 things I learned from this. And then I've rattled off 10 things. That got me 130 comments on LinkedIn and 80,000 views in about a couple of days. It was incredibly insane. But again, it got attention. I wasn't looking for validation. People liked it or didn't, but a majority of the audience actually did engage and like it on LinkedIn. I thought it was really interesting again about my audience. So I try and drop emotion as much as possible and just look at, well, what does this mean? What do people like? What do they not? Who do I choose to surround myself with? Was I attracting the right people? Why was she in my audience to say that? But you're always going to get a level of judgment. So we have to let that go, and we have to do the right things for the people that need us. So action-wise, I want you to think around building some of this content into your plan for the week. This isn't about you thinking like, where on earth do I start? What are you best at? Are you really good at sharing connection posts? So sharing content about that's going to connect you with your ideal client, and you're going to be better at one of these areas. Value. So do you give a lot of value to people? Could you continue to do that? Again, maybe look through some of the data you're seeing and the analytics of what you share, what gets most attention. And social proof, that's often one that people find hard straight away. I said to a client today who's wanting to take a slight deviation in the work she does, that if you want to get more confident in something because she's not got higher self-esteem on what she wants to go into, I said, then go and work with people for free on it. Do some case studies. That's exactly how I started a business. I work with people for free. And then I just said, well, this is how you can work with me, and made an offer to them. So I know I say that quite brash and like it's simple, but it also was that simple. I think we make things really hard. And we just don't ask enough, or we just don't do what some people say is the easy thing to do. We put the blockers in the way. So go and get 5 people who you can help and work with them on a case study, whether it's for free or whether it's at a lower ticket price point, and say, but I'd really value a testimonial and your feedback, because that's going to help you anyway on the whole experience. So that's very much what I did when I'm getting started. I learned that from somebody who was where I am and then was getting started. So again, you'll hear these different things, do them. So look at what you want to share here, but then also think around what's one you want to get better at as well. So one you're great at and continue it, and one you want to get better at. And if you want to share with me anything as well, just like, I'm always on socials, just send me a message and just say, hey, would you look over this? Or what are your thoughts? And I'll just come back to you. But if you don't ask, you don't get. So final part we've got is how to create content that converts posts that move people from scrolling, like we all do at night, or in the morning, to paying you, because that's the important part. We're here to be paid. This starts with you. Make your main thing the main thing. I am a huge believer. It's an amazing book by Gary Keller if you haven't read it. One thing, not hundreds of things. I think the last few years we see people launching left, right, and centre with all these different offers. I think it's very confusing, and it actually turns me off when people come out with something completely different. I'm like, well, last month you were talking about this. So be known for your main thing, because it's really important to grow and get better at something. So to do that, you have to know your ideal client really, really well. I think we tick boxes far too much in business, thinking, yeah, I know my dream client. And I don't think we do. I think we don't really lean into the depths of the fears, the things that they think at night, what they say to themselves, but they don't say out loud, how they're really feeling. I think it's really important to know who exactly they are. Where do they hang out online? How do they consume social media? What language do they use? Not the stuff around like, well, it's nice stuff around like what do they enjoy, like theatre, cinema, and all those things, but the real depths of it. What do they buy? Where are they spending their money right now? What triggers their decisions? And again, it's the more you work with people, the more you're able to understand this. Why would they buy from you? That's really important to consider. Like, what makes you different? You have to know the answer to that. Why would they choose to buy from you? Because you've got to be confident and you've got to be convicted when they say things like I had this week. Well, why should I buy from you and not somebody else? Like, they're going to ask that. So you've got to come back with something that's strong, that's right, and that again helps them to think, which is really important about you. So all about action here. One of the best ways to do this, and a simple way, if you ever work with me, I'm completely Google Doc girl. Like, I don't want anything fancy and necessarily hard because you're going to put it on your shelf and never use it again. I want stuff that you're going to use. So this is the quickest way, is or write it down, 2 pages. What is the dream outcome for your ideal client? What do they want? Because we need to sell them what they want and give them what they need. And far too often we give them the stuff they need, which is, like I said, about, oh, you'll get the training, you'll get the sessions with me, you'll get me on WhatsApp or Vox or whatever. They're not fussed for that. They want the result. So then you can go and say, well, what are their problems? Write down all the problems that they have, that, they feel invisible here. Their messaging's unclear, and they're not getting clients. They're not making money. Like, they're surface level problems. But what are the symptoms of that? So if I go to the doctors, and I got a great YouTube on this that I shared last week, if you want to go and look at it, it talks around the difference between a doctor and an awful salesperson. We want to be the doctor. We want to diagnose somebody because it's the symptoms that they care about. I may have hay fever. It's the symptoms of what that means to me, that, my eyes are all clammy, or that I just, I can't stop sniffling. And that's frustrating when I'm on calls because I'm not focused on the client and I want to be focused on the client. So think around the symptoms of things. If we go to a doctor and he says this fancy language, like, what does that mean? Like, if I've got a stomach bug and he calls it this fancy thing, I want him to be able to talk about the symptoms of the problem and how it can help me. So really get to the depth of that. This is so important. I heard it from Alex Hormozy was saying the other week around, there's so much research behind. Language wise, we talk too eloquent at times and articulate. We don't speak like we're talking to a 7-year-old. And that's important. I think we make things so complicated. Business is not complicated. This is really simple, but it doesn't make it easy. That's the difference. Of course, it's hard at points. And I'd be lying if I didn't say it wasn't. But I really want you to think about their problems and then the symptoms. So when somebody said to me, oh, I'm a confidence coach, whoopie do. Like, for what? What does a confidence coach bring that person? That's not what they're buying, the confidence coach. They're buying the result the confidence coach brings them. That's a difference. Same in mindset. So there's so much around mindset. Be really clear on what you help them on. So when you're positioning to create demand, and we need, like in business, we need to be demand. We supply a demand. If you don't have that, you're not supplying anything. So stop selling to everyone. Really niche down and own your space. Use positioning statements that make your offer irresistible. Show authority with confidence. So own your expertise. I'm great at messaging. I'm not preaching here that I'm brilliant on passive income. That's what my mentor does. Or that I know how to do events really well. Like, I work on do some events, but I'm not known for events. So be really owning what you're great at. I am rubbish at some tech stuff. I'm brilliant at tech for myself, but that's why I have Nicola come into the mastermind, do tech. Tony does accountability because she's brilliant at accountability. Sam comes in and does financial strategy because I don't want to teach finances. I had to just about do mine. So Sam comes and does that part because that's her great expertise. So it's really important and we really own those things. We're not just one to everybody. And handle objections through your messaging, handle it through content as well. If people are saying, well, I haven't got the money for things, well, position that, like, address those fears, talk through things with people. That's great sales, is when we can help people make an informed decision and give them all the information they need to do that. So one of the best ways to craft is to be really clear from the outset. So here you'll see my LinkedIn and my Instagram. It's what I do, it's who I help. I put the certified strategist at the top, messaging expert, coach. But I help female business owners make more money online. So be really clear with something. Try and get it under like 10 words. Don't stress about that. I think people overthink it, but try and get it really, really clear. Follow me for daily growth hacks. I want people to follow me because the touch points on people seeing my content is what matters. There's a business in America called 7-Eleven. And part of that is that most people will consume over 7 hours of content before they're even really considering you. So I want people to follow me to consume my content. And then this is the one on LinkedIn. I went to a networking event the other week and somebody said to me, "Oh, I like that picture you've got there. Are you speaking?" And I'm like, "Yes." I said, "Oh, did you get a lot of speaking opportunities?" And I was like, "Well, I asked for them, I pitch and I get some." Yeah. And they said, "Well, that's what I want to do." So again, like it builds authority, it builds credentials, and it shows that I'm doing what somebody wants to do. So again, it can get me a different conversation with them about business or something completely different. So use what you have within your toolbox to position yourself. That's part of the messaging. Is we're communicating a message. I'll communicate a message with the background behind me here about the fact that this is my family. I've got a Disney picture up there that I quite like, interior stuff. And the same as, imagine if I was sitting in a Starbucks doing it, or if I was doing a reel and I've got the gym behind me. We are communicating a message all the time to people around things. So it's really important to think around, well, how do we aesthetically do that the minute somebody sees our socials? Because you've got 4 seconds to capture their attention and to get them to follow. So it's really, really important to think about this. So one or two of the ways I will do that, if you were to meet me in a networking event, I wouldn't go off on a tangent and be like, "I'm a messaging strategist," or "I'm a business coach." I would say, when you scroll social media and you just feel like everybody's doing the same thing, or you're doing your own and you just can't cut through the noise and people aren't connecting, it just feels like it's not working. That's what I help with. Or I'll say, imagine when you put out a piece of content and it kind of feels like it goes viral. Like what does that feel like? It's amazing, right? Isn't it? Like people want us, they're interested. That's what I help you with, is looking at how we really connect with our audiences. That's not a great example, but I just want you to think around not doing the whole spiel like with pitch two or the elevator stuff, and get someone thinking, because it's about outcome based. If we can get somebody saying, "I need that," that's a different conversation. So it's a much easier way to do follow-ups when I go to events, and for you to really engage with somebody on a deeper level, than just go, "Oh, I'm a coach," and I'll go, "Oh, okay, cool." So think about using these two, and you have to test them. It feels really awkward and clunky and sticky when you first do it, but after a while, you just get into your swing of things as well. So they're good ways to position yourself. In essence, we want to document. Like, don't just create things. If you follow my socials, you'll see, particularly on my Instagram feed, I deliberately often will just be doing a little bit of a story, whether it's like through a car park, as long as it's safe. Please do it where it's safe. Or I'll just be jumping in my car after the gym, no makeup on sometimes. And I'll say that because what we're noticing right now is that people do this polished content and it is just not connecting with people in the same way, versus someone who shows up a bit more real and is like, "Oh, I've just come out of the gym, great morning, didn't want to do it, but made sure I did it first, going to crack back, get that protein shake, get on with work." People are more engaged in that, and that's storytelling as well. So document things, don't just create. You'll see Stephen Bartlett's a great example of this. Gary Vee's a great example of this. Stephen Bartlett, in a way that he has 2 channels now, I think, probably more, on YouTube. He has one for his podcast. He has another one, which is him behind the scenes as Diary of a CEO. People want to feel a part of it. One of my clients this morning said, "Oh, I feel like I'm Mel Robbins' friend. I love her." They have that ability, and you will have that of some famous people that you admire and have followed for many years. You get to feel like you know them, and it's how you kind of win friends and influence them. Another great book. But it's thinking around this. So don't just document things, take a story on it, share the journey. Sharon was a great example of that. Director at Sony Music, looking to help female people coming through the music industry on their careers, and again, just sharing her journey. A lot of her connections and the interest in to work with her comes from people seeing her stuff and saying like, I'm where, like, that's what I want. Can you help me? So again, keep it really simple. So think around different ways you can do this. And just to see how it's working, these are examples that I share. I've got Vicky who came in and she did last year, made more money on Black Friday than she'd made in the last 3 years of sales because she was clear on one offer, not hundreds of offers. She marketed it because she really believed in it. She knew the difference it could make to people. And we just worked on the messaging and who it was for. So this does work. Like I'm showing you that proof here, and people going on that journey part. Messaging isn't about saying what feels right to you. My view on messaging is about what's saying in a way that makes your brand relatable, and your brand is you, your offer, and your value unmistakably clear to reach the people you want to reach. And that's not everybody. It's about real resonance. It's about somebody saying, they get me, or that's me when they look at your content. So as I said about masterclass, workshop only offer, if you're interested in knowing more about what this could do for you, I don't sell to you. I've got no interest in selling because I don't know if I can help you. So it always makes me laugh and people get a bit worried. And I just want to find out if it's the right fit, where you're at, and what you need to do. If I feel it's the right fit, we can talk about a mastermind. And if I don't, there may be someone who I know that's going to be more suited to you as well. That's really important. I've got a great connection base, and there's people doing different things. And that's important, is that you want to be with the right people, and that's what I want to lead in business. A note on investing: I do understand why you wouldn't be investing yourself right now, but I think it's important to look at the difference that can make for people. I see like the risk is not taking a risk sometimes. Your content is your magnet for leads into the DMs, into those conversations. But we've got to do this part to get those conversations going. People aren't just going to come to you and ask how to work with you. People aren't just going to click that link you put out. That's why I don't do links on this. It's not how people are buying. People have lost trust and they need to build it, and they need to speak with people and get real connection. They want that level of proximity. So think around how you do that in your sales process, in your journey, because it's really important, and it'll help stand you out against others who aren't doing it as well. And a quick overview of what's included. So if you want to know more, all you need to do is message me on Instagram, on my socials, or email, and you can put mastermind, you can ask more about it. So a quick run through. This is the stuff, like I said, what you get. But the most important part here is that you're supported in all areas of business, of what I believe we all need and the gaps that I see. And what makes my mastermind difference is having these people in. I also give access to the money mindset course, which you can buy on its own, 697. I feel that's a really important part to work through, is money mindset. I am always working on mine. I'm very happy to say that. I'm very comfortable that I do, because it's really important that we're always going to come against money blocks. So all you got to do is message me with words. And I want to give you some actionable steps now to go away with, because that's why we're here, is start with clarity. So I'll often do things like this, and I will go, what are the key takeaways? I think it's really important to slow down, speed up, and take that time for yourself. What was really important? Refine your core message. Ask people. That's the gold dust. I was working with a client today and just said, I don't know. I was like, go and ask your audience. They're better than me. And it's like, okay, we can go through what you get back as feedback, but ultimately they're the ones buying. So let's go and see what they've got to say first, opposed to just assuming we know. Commit to consistent content creation. You're going to be crap. I'm going to tell you that. You will be. It's going to be rubbish at first. That's okay. You're going to just work on it. It's going to get better. Your first anything will be rubbish. Just do the first thing. Have the courage. Collect and share social proof. Again, if you haven't got any, go and get some. Write a positioning statement. Why would people buy from you? Got to be different. Got to know your why. And invest. If you're not going to financially invest time into this. Like, your time's here, and I really value it that you've given that. And make sure you implement and do things with it, because that's the only way you're going to move forward. I'll come to questions now. If you've got any, you can either come on, or you can share them in the chat, or if there's reflections and takeaways, I'm happy to go through them.